I'm going to talk about building a coil pot from the very beginning. So, assuming you've watched my video on how to use the extruder, you should have coils. And if you don't have coils, now would be a good time to make them. You can make them in advance and keep them closed in tightly into your Tupperware container. You are also going to need a banding wheel and a bat, okay? So I'd like to build everything on a bat. It just makes it easier to move things around. And if I know that I'm going to be building something really large, I might put a layer of newspaper over this as well. Okay, so I have that. I'm going to have a small bucket with water and a round synthetic sponge. And I'm going to have a tool I call my pottery knife. For the base of my coil pot, I want to use a slab. It provides a more compressed surface that won't crack. So I've already wired off a good chunk of clay, all right? And then in order to flatten it out further if I need to, I pound it on the table, okay? When I do this, I want to flip it so it's not landing like this, it's landing like that. And that will lengthen your slab a little bit. Next, I'm going to go over to my slab roller and I'm going to, hopefully you can see it from here. All right. So my clay is going to go inside of the canvas. Right? Move you a little closer. All right. My clay is going to go inside of the canvas. If we are at my home studio, I don't have a canvas liner, it's more plastic, and it will also go sandwiched inside. So I already have the depth of my slab roller set. It says here it's slightly under ½ inch, which is appropriate because the size of my coil is ½ inch. So I want the same thickness from the bottom of my cylinder up through the walls. So I'm always going to coordinate the thickness of my slab with the thickness of my coil. So remember, the diameter of the coil should correspond to the thickness you're going to roll out your slab. All right, so this goes in the middle. And then I'm just going to roll the wheel. I don't want to pull the canvas all the way through because then I have to refeed it into the rollers. All right, so I'm going to take out my slab. I hold my slab like this. It is less likely to warp if I hold it like this. Okay. All right, so here's my slab. I'm going to get my slab a little wet. And I like to clean off any impression from the canvas, any texture from the canvas. And then I'm going to take a tool called a rib, all right? This is a rib. They are either wooden or silicone, and I'm going to use this flat edge strategically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it to compress the slab. And this way, my base of the cylinder is less likely to warp. So I'm compressing my slab. I failed to mention at the beginning of the video that rib is a helpful tool while you're coil building as well. So add that to your list of tools. To review, rib, pottery knife, sponge, banding wheel and bat. And I always like to have buckets of water. Okay. So next I have to cut out a shape. So I have to decide, and this is where sketching comes in really handy. I have to decide how big I want the base of my coil pot. So if I have a sketch with me, it will help determine what it is I'm making and why. Because I don't want to just come in and make decisions on the fly. So I want to think about what it is I'm trying to make. So perhaps I'm trying to make a very tall, narrow vase for flowers. So the footprint of my slab should really indicate the form that you are going to eventually make. If it is going to be a really, really big circle, obviously you're going to have a really open cylinder. If it's going to be square, you're going to have a squared off shape, which is totally fine. You can do more rectilinear shapes with coil building. It doesn't necessarily have to be round or oval or organic looking. All right.